I wanted to do a video about like caretaking and codependency. I think I already did a video on codependency and like enabling someone who has, well, being codependent with someone who has borderline or narcissism. And I have a coworker that's a major caretaker. She's not a therapist. She keeps saying that she wants to be. Frankly, I keep discouraging her. I mean, she asked me, "Do you think I should be? Should I go into therapy?" And I'm always like, "No." And part of that reason is because she's a caretaker. I don't believe that that's a good reason to become a therapist is because you're a caretaker. And the reason why, right? Well, a quick note about caretaking. Caretakers are always in denial, which she totally is. Bless her heart. She's got a group of wounded animals that she like. When I say wounded animals, I mean like super chaotic people. And I wanted to make this video thinking of her. Oh, she's such a caretaker. And she texted me, "Hey, do you know any good therapists in this area? I'm asking for a friend." And she really is. I know she's asking for a friend. I know for sure. Apparently she went looking and she found a good therapist for her friend. And I'm not in the office with her, but if I was, I would ask her, "Well, why are you looking and why isn't your friend?" Well, she needs help. And here's the thing about caretaking, okay? If you have if you grow up and you have a parent who might be severely narcissistic type, someone who is borderline, maybe someone who has an addiction like alcoholism, one of the kids usually ends up being a caretaker in a couple of ways. Number one is they often end up caretaking the sick adult. They end up being the adult. I've seen borderline moms, for example, like asking the 8, 9-year-old child what they should do, and it's like, they don't know. Don't ask them. They're 8, right? And I know it makes sense to us, right? Don't ask the 8-year-old what you should do. They don't know. Um, but so the 8-year-old ends up being the adult in the family, and I often see adults who even at young ages, like 8 years old, 8, 9 years old, were the adult in the family. So they end up taking care of the younger kids. They end up getting the kids out of bed, into bed, getting the kid in the bath, out of the bath, doing their laundry, cooking for them, etc., etc., etc. They end up being a caretaker, and this can also work in the sense of like if you have a parent who's a severe alcoholic, and it's like, oh, I had to get my drunk dad into bed and take off his shoes and make sure that he peed, otherwise he's wet the bed, right? It's like taking care of a child. So at young ages, what that kid gets instilled into them is that their value as a human being is derived from taking care of others. And as soon as they stop taking care of others, their value diminishes. They feel ashamed. They feel like they're not doing a good job. They feel like they are failing, right? And so this caretaking tendency really does become laced with this sense of value and shame, right? If you're not fulfilling this purpose, you don't have any value. In the case of having a narcissistic or borderline parent, sometimes that is the only way that kids figure out that they can get any type of validation, is when they're caretaking the younger kids or taking care of that parent. That's the only time where that parent actually is present with them and maybe even warm or caring or validating, good job, thank you, whatever. Anything to that degree. And that caretaking identity gets chiseled into granite. It just becomes who they are. It becomes their identity. So they grow up and they start taking care of others. Like you might have a group of wounded animals around you because that's what elevates your sense of value in the world. And without this group of wounded animals, you would lose your value. Unfortunately, the truth I really believe about the situation is that it's at least partially motivated by upholding the sense of value for yourself and not necessarily helping this other person. Because you know what this person actually needs? You know how you can actually help them? Is to help them learn a sense of self-sufficiency. If you are doing everything for them, you are not only reinforcing their old identity of them being this helpless, wounded animal, this fatally flawed and broken person who can't ever get it together. You're reinforcing that old identity in themselves, and you're also reinforcing your old identity of being a caretaker. And so that's why this is called codependent, right? You're hurting each other. Both of you are hurting each other by engaging this way. It's like if your friend goes, "Hey, I need a therapist." You don't okay. And you know, "Hi, I'm calling for my friend. Yeah, this is their name and so and so. Okay, that's when the appointment is. Okay, they'll be there." Don't do things for that they can do themselves or should do for themselves, because it's really important for those wounded animal types of friends to learn that they can actually do things. They're capable. They need to know that they're capable. A therapist can sit there and talk their ear off, but it's actually therapeutic for them to see that they can do things on their own and that they're capable. And I hear the excuses. Oh, they're busy. They don't have time. She had to pick up her kids. She couldn't do it. Yes, she can. Yeah, she actually can, and she needs to. She should. It's important. It's super important. And so, but again, the caretaker, they're usually in denial that this is how I feel valuable. Without my group of wounded animals, or my narcissistic borderline parent, or my alcoholic father, or whatever, right? If I'm not taking care of them, who am I? I have no value. And I like to think of human beings as like a battery. Yes, I keep this battery right here on the desk just so I can use it as a visual aid. And I will talk about this on my other channel, by the way. Go check it out, Wisdom and Brews. The link is in the description below. But human beings are like this battery, okay? Now this battery just sitting here, is it any more or any less valuable, right? Think about it like if it's plugged into something, is it any more or any less value if it's powering something? No. In fact, it's equally as valuable whether or not it's powering something or not. It's valuable as it is because of what it has, because what's in it, or what it's capable of, what its potential is, okay? Likewise with a battery, if you try to plug it into the wrong thing, it's not going to serve to its fullest purpose. It's going to be misplaced. It's going to be mismanaged. It's going to feel it will seem like it's useless. And we might keep trying to shove it into this to power the same thing, and it doesn't work, and we just do the same thing over and over again. Okay? Understand that your worth and your value is like this battery. It just is, regardless of what function you believe that you're serving, you're performing. And maybe you sit for years and years and years before you're plugged into the right thing and doing what it is that you're really supposed to be doing. Caretaking, to me, it's a Trojan horse. On the surface, it appears to be a really good, positive thing, but I think it can perpetuates the cycles of dysfunction and abuse and helplessness. So anyways, that's kind of my video on caretaking. I'm not going to do a video right now on what to do instead. I don't have time. I actually got to get to work. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.